Today in class we discussed the anchor point tool, which will allow us to adjust the nature of our paths. It's very similar to when we're drawing, clipping the handles while we draw, but this one is its own tool. So for your check for understanding today, I've given you two lines, the darker ones. And what I'd like you to do is using the anchor point tool, adjust these lines so they match the light gray ones I've given you. So let me show you how that looks. Our anchor point tool is located with our pen tool. The quick key is Shift C. What I can do with this, I simply click, and when I do, I can kind of control handle. So I'm going to pull it this way. So both edges of this little curve are pulled up. And then I'm going to swap to my direct selection tool and just clean up these handles because it goes from straight to curved. Same thing, I'm going to click on this point, pull in these handles, and now I have the exact same line. Now for the heart, it looks like the inside of the heart and the corner of the heart are much more rounded in the example image. So let's go back to our anchor point tool and just click on the little corner and pull. And when we pull, we just create handles because originally it was a curve. It's always the opposite of what's there. So I'm going to make this a little more rounded. It seemed to be like turned, so I just flipped my handles. That's all we're doing for part one. Now for part two, we're fixing up these logos. You're going to see the logos on the right have really sharp edges or wonky edges, and they need to be cleaned up. Now I recommend using two tools while you use this. For example, for YouTube, you're going to definitely need that Convert Anchor Point tool to make some handles to really round this out. So I'm going to get super close because that's what's going to make this easier for me. I'm going to start pulling with my Convert Anchor Point tool just to make all of these little edges much softer to match the real YouTube logo. Now once I have the softer edges, that's when I want to go in with the direct selection tool, kind of click the point and see how much of the handles need to be pulled closer or further away depending the nature of their curve. And if you're not sure if this is really accurate, I would highly recommend relying on the images I've provided for you just to double check. You want them as aligned as you can. Okay, you're going to do that for each of the logos in this section. So for part three, you're going to be putting to practice three of the techniques we've been working with in class with the pen tool. The idea of clicking on the last anchor point to kind of clip out a handle or get rid of it, clicking and dragging on the last anchor point to create a new handle if you're going to make a curve, or holding down Alt to change the direction of the handle. Now you can choose one of these superhero logos to create. The Batman one has really sharp curves, which will really use a lot of the techniques we discussed. For example, if I click and start making the Batman wing, I'm going to click and pull my handle to the side, just leaning against the curve, not inside the Batman logo, right? This red line is just ever so slightly touching the edge of the Batman black here. And I'm going to click and drag and start making my handles. Okay, I'm going to swap this to the stroke so I can see while I work. All right, again, I'm clicking and pulling, thinking about how to control this handle. Now the problem is I have a handle here, but technically the edge of the Batman logo is a clipped curve, right? It's really pointy. So what I want to do is click on the last anchor point and get rid of that curve. And then I can click and drag again to make a new curve. All right, I'm going to click and drag again, but then I need a point. So I'm going to clip that last handle out by clicking on it. Okay, so we're going to practice a lot of the techniques here. Feel free to use the direct selection tool when you're done to clean up your shape. You only have to do one of the logos. Be precise and use your pen tool. Good luck.